Men's feminist identification and reported use of prescription erectile dysfunction medication is the name of an article that I've read. Basically, what it says in layman's terms is men who identify as feminine are more likely to report the use of erectile dysfunction medication. And
not feminine, feminists.
Feminist. If I misspoke, feminist. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
Feminist.
There's difference.
Yes.
Okay.
Feminist dudes. Yes. Thank you for the correction. And I just want to ask you guys, I know that the abstract gives a couple of reasons why, and we'll get into those in a second, but I want to just kind of pick your brains. Why exactly do you think it is a fact that feminist men are more likely to report the use of ED medication?
So I think I could attempt to solve this question with association, right? Like we're looking at feminism, a socio-political like movement, right? Which if you look at possibly the binaries of our political system, I'm not sure where this study was taken, if it was America or whatever.
Canada.
Yeah. Canada. Oh, okay. Even then, I'm sure there's some like binary between like conservative and liberal, and I would think that if you're more if you're a feminist, you're more comfortable with like as a male. I would try to venture a gut reaction to be like, okay, you're more comfortable with your sexuality, and therefore you don't feel like it's a blow to your ego if you were to tell someone, yeah, I take Viagra or whatever. And so that's why I would think they would report it more, or at least more freely. That's it. Mic drop.
Rachel, as the one most affected by this study, I'm curious to hear your point of view.
Well, I have like a little story that I could tell, but I don't want to because my face is on here. I don't. People would know who I'm talking about. But I would say this all just and when I read it, there's a couple of things, and I took some stuff from it because I'm a nerd. So, one, it's also possible that feminist men are more likely to use it because they wish to maintain an erection to better please their partner. So that was it's also possible. There's one explanation that, blah, blah, blah. There's all this other stuff in the abstract. But what I when I was thinking about this, all I can think about is empathy. When you boil feminism down, it's not women over men. It's just men and women being treated equally and having equal access to things and doing things equally. And it's not the hatred of men or blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. We can get into feminist theory all day long. But from my own personal experience, having male partners, because I'm heterosexual, it would be that my partner was empathetic, understood my needs, and perhaps was having issues maybe fulfilling them in some capacity. And then there's one partner specifically that maybe would have fallen into this category. And if I were to ask him, why did you choose to take these medications? It was always because you're my partner and I want to,
I want to give you a rock
I'm
hard
in love
dong.
with you. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Ian. So I don't know how to explain it in the best way, but when I think about it, they have all these. I didn't read the entire thing. I definitely read the abstract, but
you didn't read this entire medical article. Why?
Well, I kind of it was a little bit my jam though, because it was a little bit. I was not too impressed with the abstract, but I think I will read it later on. But I will say that the thing that came to mind is that men who identify as feminists, whatever that may mean, in whatever capacity they understand that, might have a little bit more empathy for their female partners.
As a soft penis feminist myself, I appreciate that.
Is this your confession and take at the same time, Ian?
Now I have something to tell my wife when I can't please her. Babe, I'm doing this because I'm a feminist. I thought that it was maybe because as a feminist, a man wouldn't want to subject a woman to having sex with them. This is for your own good.
Well, no, because as same with your wife, as a woman who has male partners, the most pleasing or satisfactory situations I've ever been in, the sexual situations I've ever been with a man, is when things feel very, very equal. And that is like the entire nucleus of feminism. It's
So,
like when
yeah.
like men and women are on an equal standing. And so
So
I
you want to
would
make sure
assume-
you want to make sure you have a good erection too during sex.
I mean, I try, Ian. I try.
I don't think I realized how phallic this episode was going to end up being, but that's on me. Has anyone here just like taken Viagra like for kicks for fun? Like
I
was
did just
offered it.
before this.
I popped my Cialis just before we started recording. I was offered in high school super randomly. This dude in my art class would just like pop them as a joke. I guess I feel like the early aughts were just a different time, but yeah, he would pop them as a joke, and he would just like have an erection during high school, and he just like thought it was super funny.
Did you take? You said you were offered. Did you take it?
Yeah, I never did, and because he eventually said, and I don't know if there was a cause and effect.
Do you guys have a hard time getting an erection in middle school and in high school? I'm pretty sure you don't.
I don't think that's normally an issue, but he eventually expressed that he thinks, and I don't know the cause and effect with this, but that he eventually wasn't able to have an erection without them afterwards, is what he was telling me. Like I think he was just taking them so frequently that eventually it affected his ability to, I don't know if this is true. This is totally just hearsay. I mean, he was young.
This is
so
like when
maybe
antibiotics don't work anymore. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You take too much antibiotics. So you take too much Viagra, it doesn't work anymore. So,
but I also, maybe he's just like got super nervous. He's like, oh shit, I'm hooked on Viagra now. It's like, and he got in his head and like had performance anxiety and then just couldn't get hard anymore. But all that being said, I would love, I imagine, I don't know this. Like I said, I've never taken it. So if you guys have and you have some information you'd like to shine on it, I would love to hear it. But I would love to take one, and I imagine I would have like the hardest boner I've ever had in my entire life. It's like you couldn't push it down if you tried, and you could keep your partner off the ground. Like that kind of shit. Like I would.
Sounds painful.
It does sound it sounds awful actually, but I would love that, just to experience that, because I do think that would be like kind of fun. It's like it's so hard that you feel like it might like pop out of its seams, like bust a seam or something like that. I don't know. Have you guys ever tried it? Have you ever done it, Ian or Andy?
No, never tried it. You go into gas stations though, and you'll see those like the
horny goat weed.
Yeah, like the destroyer. This, like the pill. It's like this, like has all these flames on the background of it, and it's like crush them, slay your enemies in the sack. That kind of thing. And it's like I'm not curious about it, but I'm like, are there people who
are? You looked at the package.
I mean, I obviously. I described the package to you. I definitely looked at
Andy,
it.
it sounds like you were describing a package that you were turning over in your hands. You're like, you just described the front and the back.
Let me read the ingredients for you.
You read that thing like a cereal box, man.
But I'm like, how much of this shit is placebo? I know we're not talking. We're talking like medical. We were talking about medical.
Sure.
EDM.
Yeah.
But I can imagine a lot of it. It's a lot of placebo, and honestly, like ED is pretty common in men, and the surrounding causes can be psychosomatic. They can be from diet. They can be from like whatever genetics. Vaping. Yeah, exactly.
Stress.
Yeah,
is
stress.
Fun. That lowers testosterone levels.
Yeah,
I know about this.
Also, reading this article, every time I like scanned EDM, I'm like, electronic dance music?
Yeah, it's hard not to see that. Well, Ian, you haven't placed your bet on this. I'm just gonna put you on the spot. I'm assuming you have taken one of these drugs.
Me too.
That's my guess. If I had to put money on it, I would say yeah.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Okay, so my swim team in Korea actually we would take Viagra, because they were like, you take Viagra before a race, and I guess it like opens up your veins or something. Like it helps increase blood flow, so you'd swim faster. And when you had your erection in the pool, it kind of like steered you around like a rudder.
Oh my god.
No. So does Tylenol though, like as far as blood flow. Like,
well, I mean, it's not as I don't know. It's probably not as intimidating to swim without an erection.
Wait, Ian, so you're saying? Yeah, you took Viagra or whatever the equivalent for swimming, but you never took it for any other circumstances, like with your wife or with any other partners or whatever.
You know what? Doesn't that sound? Okay, but Rachel, doesn't that sound more like me? Like that's something I would do. Like,
It does, yeah.
Wait a minute.
Defense,
This is gonna make me faster in the pool.
Ian would take it to go swimming rather than for its intended purpose, but you
It seems like it
know.
would slow you down in the pool. Like you have more surface area friction.
Yeah.
No, Andy, he shaved before, so hairless. So then he swims better.
Yeah, I shaved my cock, so I had a hairless one, which made me more aerodynamic in the pool.
They do that.
I don't think they shave. They don't swim
They
nude.
don't shave their cock, but you know,
Ian,
the concept works.
Ian, did you take it for sex? Have you ever taken Viagra or Cialis
No,
for sex?
and I want to try. I'm curious. I bet if I pitched the idea to my wife, she would be like, "Yeah, dude, let's do it." But here's the thing. So, putting on my like science hat for a second, I did work at a clinic and for penis related issues. And I mean, for people that don't have an issue getting an erection, like it can be potentially dangerous because, you know, the whole thing about like, oh, if you get an erection longer than 4 hours, you have to go to the hospital. That's because like you can get fucking necrosis. So it's like you can, you know, potentially
Your
like
blood
lose
rots in your cock, right? It starts like
it just congeals, like it just stays, it doesn't flow, and it just starts to kind of like harden. Like have you ever seen those clips online of like somebody pouring rattlesnake poison into blood?
Oh, I have seen that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Shay, wait, Shay, why did you say yeah before I finished?
I was like, oh, I know these clips. I spent a lot of time on the dark web.
He took it for sex.
No, there's actually there's a really good video from Smarter Every Day on YouTube where he talks exactly about the issue when Viagra goes bad, basically, and the doctor, like, you really do have to rush to the hospital, and they have to, like, in some cases take a syringe and straight up pull the blood out of your cock so that it doesn't just start rotting on you.
So you heard it here first, folks, from Camp Re-Education. Viagra is not a toy. It's a tool for feminists. So I think Andy, I agree with Andy and Rachel's point that I think it's just because like people like that probably identify as feminists, like I'm willing to bet they're the same people that believe in climate change and like they're like okay, like, oh, like my dick isn't working, like it's probably a medical problem, as opposed to like, you know, people who get all their medical information from like episodes of How I Met Your Mother, and they're like, oh, like boneritis is only related to like being emasculated by a stronger man, and I have to fight him in a pinball arcade to get my masculinity back.
So, for any of the readers who don't know, the abstract does give 4 reasons. Did I say readers? Whatever. For any of the listeners, the abstract does give 4 reasons for why they believe that the reported use is higher. And it should be noted that this study does control for a bunch of factors. Alcohol use before sex, erection difficulties, sexual arousal, sexual health, mental health, physical health. And so the 4 reasons they give is that feminist men may use EDM to bolster their masculinity when it's otherwise threatened by their identification as feminist, which strikes me as just total bullshit. Like, I cannot really imagine. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but like, I can't really imagine dudes being like, I'm a feminist, but like, that doesn't make me a pussy. So like, let me get my dick like as hard as it could fucking get, you know. So
he's very anti-feminist.
They would say that.
Right. Yeah, right. So the second one is that non-feminist men may be less likely to use prescription EDM because they view accessing healthcare services as a threat to their masculinity.
That makes sense.
Yeah. The third one that you covered, Rachel, is that they may wish to maintain an erection to better please their partner. And then lastly, it could be that EDM use is more prominent than non-feminist men because they're more honest. They just like, they don't mind reporting the actual use, which I actually just think is what it is. And that's because I identify as a feminist, and I assume that anyone who doesn't is just a dirty fucking liar.
Agreed.
The end. So which of the 4 are we all on the same page? It's the last one.
I'm going to go with the last one. I also do, just from personal experience, know the one that I stated earlier, which is to please a partner, and they might be having trouble with something, whatever. And they might, look into that. I go with that one as well, just because I know that happens. But I for the vast majority of people, they're just honest, good people. So they fucking filled out the survey correctly.
Ian, what do you think?
I already said the last one.
Last one. All right. And Andy, you're on last one too?
Yeah, I feel like we talked about this earlier a little bit. Yeah, it's like they're just going to be more prone to be more comfortable with their sexuality and then volunteer that information. One thing I was kind of curious about, though, at the last part of the abstract, they're like, regardless of the exact reason, therapists can use these results to tailor sexual health messages to their clients based on their feminist identification. And now I'm like thinking of the adverts. They're like, you want to please your woman? Yeah, I mean, here's this little marketing campaign.
Do you know health communications is a real thing that you can get a real PhD in?
I believe it.
I believe it, yeah.
Yeah.
I know someone with one.
Wow. Thanks for that really boring fact, Rachel. Boo. All right.
It's a thing.
Moving on.